everyone. Today I have with me Ann Zuccardy. And Ann I found from this book called Press Pause Moments. And she is a writer extraordinaire because she writes everything. But I found one of her little short stories in this book. And this was published in 2010, so it's been a while. But thank you so much for coming and talking to me today, Ann.
Thank you, Michelle.
You are like the perfect writer because, you've done so much writing in so many different areas and you've gotten paid to do, content writing, and then you've done this kind of short story. And I see that you're working on a memoir, but I haven't found it. Like, are you still working on that?
Yeah, that's been in progress for quite a few years now. So yes, I am still working on it. But I just recently, in October of last year, started my master's degree in creative writing. So I suspect the memoir will be part of my thesis work.
Okay, so I read this, and then I invited you on, and then I pull you up to do my research like last week, and I was like, she's done other stuff. She has TED Talks.
I do, yeah.
So I love when I find that out, but I was just blown away. I mean, I've never talked to anybody who's done a TED Talk, so yay. But I'd like, you explain to everybody how you got to do a TED Talk because it's a quite extraordinary story.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've always been a writer, first and foremost, ever since I was 6 years old. I've been telling stories and writing. And as you said, I have been very blessed to have always worked in the corporate world as a writer in some capacity. But in 2011, I had a brain injury that changed my entire life, and I had to drop out of the corporate world and my job as a corporate communicator, which was largely writing. Because of the brain injury, I had a lot of trouble reading and writing, and it left me feeling naked and vulnerable. I had previously defined myself by what I did for work and being a parent, and all of that changed in a heartbeat. I had this brain injury. My only child was going away to college, and I was on the cusp of turning 50. And all of a sudden, I was just thrown into this world of who am I? And so I turned to what I had always done, social media and writing, and I used voice dictation software to start a blog called iwantmybrainback.com. Sorry, that's my phone, my landline ringing. It'll go away in a minute. So I started documenting my frustrations with the healing process from my brain injury. It didn't seem that any of my local doctors knew what to do with me because I was pretty high functioning, but I still wasn't functioning at the level that I was used to. And I was having a lot of cognitive problems and visual issues and memory problems. So I started this blog. And I was very vocal about my frustration on social media. So I posted links to the blog on Twitter and Facebook and wherever else I could be heard. And lo and behold, about a year later, after the brain injury, I got an email from a TEDx organizer in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is just right outside of Philadelphia.
That's near.
And they asked me if I wanted to consider submitting a proposal to speak. And I was like, me? I'm not TED material. I always thought that TED speakers were highly educated researchers and scientists and that sort of thing. And that is not who I am. So I thought it was a joke. And when I actually spoke to the guy on the phone, I realized it was for real. And I was really being invited to tell my story. And so I hired a wonderful speaking coach who helped me craft my first TEDx talk. And it's called How a Brain Injury Made Me Smarter. And I wanted to challenge conventional ideas about what makes people smart, how we define ourselves. And my previous idea of what had made me smart was my job, my ability to read and to write, my scores on tests in school and my grades and how much money I had and all of that sort of thing. And that was just all kind of blown out of the water. So I had to rethink what smart meant. So I gave that first TEDx talk in 2013. And when I was up there on that stage, I realized, oh, this is really fun. I love this. I want to do this when I grow up. So I started marketing myself as a speaker, but I realized I didn't want to be known as a brain injury speaker because I believe that stories have a short shelf life. And I believe that what I got from my brain injury was so much bigger than just knowledge about brain injuries and how to deal with them. It was a self-awareness about who I am at the core and how I nurtured creativity and developed ways to recover from my brain injury. And the question for me became, how can I help other people find that creativity within themselves without sustaining a brain injury? And so that's become my mission since then. And I've done many keynotes, workshops, that sort of thing. I call myself an accidental neuroscientist because I've learned so much about how the brain works. So I am a speaker, but I'm also now a student. Last year, as I said, I decided to go back to school and get my master's degree in creative writing. So I'm doing a bunch of things right now, and it's really fun. But writing is still the core of all of it.
Don't you think that as we get older, like we do kind of find these things and as we attach, that's why I call this writing fun, because it's like, it has to be fun from now on. Like everything has to, I don't know, I wish I could go back to my 20-year-old self and say, have more fun. Don't be so serious. You're so serious. I was so like this. I had to mother and I had to work and I had to, I was so intense all the time that, now it's like, I do this because everybody's like, why do you do this? Because I have fun. What's your goal? To have fun. Like, I don't have a goal. My goal is to have fun. My goal is to talk to people, and to help other people, and, from talking to people. And it has to be fun. And like you said, I love the short-term life thing because I swear, like, when I think about a memoir, in my 20s, it would have been, like, I was a military wife. But then I wasn't a military wife because I got divorced. But then I was a divorcee, so that was kind of cool for a while. Interesting, cool, I guess. And there's like how to be divorced, and then you're like, get remarried. Oh, I got remarried, and I'm not divorced anymore. Then I had 6 children, and I thought that was unique, Like, well, I have 6 children. That's pretty cool, That's pretty unique. But we keep finding, and then every time we're like, oh, that's boring. We already did that. So I understand that. Like, you did the brain injury.
Yeah.
It's like we do these things and we're interested in the moment. You came through it. You got better. You bettered yourself because then it led to your speaking, and then that leads to then that other stuff becomes like, well, that's that was then. Now it's me again. Like finding yourself all the time in these new situations. And that's what was so cool. So I find you on TED. Your talks are amazing. I got so much from them. You are amazing. I've watched a lot of those, and I love the way you spoke. And I went back and I read this because then I realized this was before the brain injury. And I had a whole new perspective of your story because what was important to you in 2010 became very unimportant in 2011 and 2012.
Yes, that is so true. And it is so funny that I didn't know that we were going to talk about that book, but that book, so interesting. I was just thinking about it this morning. That book was an anthology put together by a dear friend of mine from college, from my late teens and early 20s. Her name is Ann Wakavich. And I helped her compile the essays and edit and put it all together. But this was entirely her baby. And the front cover of that book, this is a really great story. It's a beautiful picture. Mm-hmm. That picture is Anne's sister, who died, I think, in 2009 or maybe 2010 of cancer. And that was a picture of her at a camp, I believe, for cancer survivors. And interestingly enough, the book is about transitions. And right around the time the book came out, her sister died, the ultimate transition.
Right.
But I was thinking back, Anne and I used to go visit that sister who's on the cover of the book. We used to go visit her. She lived near Cape Cod. And we used to go visit her when we were 19, 20 years old. And I just thought that sister was the coolest woman ever. She was a teacher and she was well-traveled and she had eclectic things all over her house. And I thought, oh, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. She was, I think, a good 20 years old. Well, maybe 15 years older than us. I can't remember exactly, but it's so funny. I was just thinking about that story this morning, and there you are holding up the book, and I'm like, oh, weird.
That's awesome. I love that, and that's what I loved about like getting to know you. Okay, so I got to know you from then, and then as I'm doing my research, and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at what this woman has done. Like, she is amazing. Okay, first, so. I read that, and then I read about your Vermont baking thing in the story.
Right.
So I'm thinking that I'm going to be talking to this woman who owns a bakery, hugely successful bakery, but it's awesome to me that you don't. Like, you did that. Another one of those things. It's like you did it, and you got as much out of it as you could get, and then you realize, okay, well, it's not that fun anymore, so I'm going to go find something that's more fun than baking. But you really it wasn't like you just stepped into it. I mean, you really, you went full force into baking, right?
I sure did. I built a commercial bakery in my basement. I started that company in 1996. My daughter was 2 years old, and I heard there was this cool new thing called the internet, and people were selling things from their computer, and I thought, oh, how cool. And so I created a cookie. Because they were easy to ship, and I just, tested them by handing them out to various people. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew a little bit about baking, but I'm not a culinary student by any stretch. And, it grew. At the beginning, I was, I didn't even have a website. At the beginning, people would call me and they'd say, can you ship me a shortbread? And I'd say, sure, send me a check.
Wow.
And I never once got stiffed. I intuitively knew who was good for the money and who wasn't. But, and so I gave that up, 2011, I believe. I didn't sell the company, but I just stopped producing the shortbread. And people still ask me about it. People still know me as the shortbread lady. I'm like, yeah, that was a lifetime ago.
That's awesome.
But I love what you said earlier. And this seems to be the theme that you keep weaving in, which I think is great, is the theme of fun. I mean, it was fun. It was really fun for me to do the marketing. That's how I learned about social media and internet marketing long before Facebook even existed. I was doing that through blogging and through early social media sites where I was just marketing my product. And so it was fun. That part was fun. But running a business, the day-to-day operations and the details and the bookkeeping was not fun.
Right.
It's not my forte.
Right.
And so I gave that up and went back to the corporate world. And I believe the whole idea of fun is so important, especially as we age. I think we get very stuck in our ways and we lose that childlike sense of silliness and wonder and curiosity. And interestingly, I've started studying therapeutic humor. It's actually a thing. I belong to an organization called the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And I joined them when they asked me to keynote a few years ago at their conference. And I realized that therapeutic humor was a real science. And there's a lot of data out there that shows us that how humor impacts brain health, learning, and overall physical health. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on board with this. I'm totally into this. So now So now I'm studying therapeutic humor as well, and I'm in the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. They have a humor academy through which you can get certified as a humor professional, and you can also earn graduate credits for it. It's serious business. It's serious study, but it's a lot of fun.
That is crazy, because I did see a video that you had made on YouTube about
Yes.
yoga, about what do you call it?
Hula hooping.
What?
Was it the hula hooping video?
No, I saw hula hooping, but it wasn't your laughing yoga.
Laughter yoga.
Yes. I just completely forgot, but I did see that, and I was like, my youngest son, is 14, and he is involved in those internet video games. And everybody says to me, oh, you shouldn't let him do that so much. Oh, it's really bad for you. That kid laughs. I am envious. I walk past him and go, I want to laugh as much. He laughs more during a day than anybody I know. And I always think you got to follow that. Don't you have to, isn't that a thing?
It is so important. And I'm so glad to hear that your son is doing that. I grew up in a very funny family. And my father, who's now in a nursing home with dementia, taught me everything I know about humor and laughter. And yes, it keeps us healthy. And now, now I'm in academia and I'm writing important papers on academic subjects, and there's no fun and there's no laughter. And I'm like always trying to lighten it up. But yes, it is so important for our brain health. And you just mentioned a YouTube video about laughter yoga. For anyone out there, laughter yoga is just, all it is manufactured laughter, ha 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 ha, combined with deep breathing and some light movement. Anybody can do it. Even elderly people in wheelchairs can do it. I do it with, kindergarten and first grade students. I do it with elderly people. Anybody can do it. But the idea is that 15 minutes of sustained laughter like that per day has wonderful physiological benefits, such as lowering your blood pressure, increasing endorphins, increasing immunities. It goes on and on and on. Real chemical changes happen in your brain when you're laughing. So it's really good stuff.
And as we get older, I feel like we laugh less.
So true.
And that's what I love. Like, I have a thing, before I go to bed, I make sure I laugh. So I'll stick on a Friends episode, or How I Met Your Mother or something. But my thing is always to end the day laughing, so that no matter what happened that day, if I'm going to sleep laughing. And so when I heard you say that, and you said that the brain can't tell, in your video, you said it can't tell the difference between faking laughing and laughing. And I found that really interesting, because I was like, maybe I should force myself. I mean, I do that by watching Friends. So it's kind of a forcing, like, I know I'm going to laugh and then I go off to sleep, But maybe you can do that during the day, like about other things, and just be like, you know what? I'm going to just spend 5 minutes smiling and laughing, I do
it when I'm driving, and sometimes the looks I get from, people driving alongside me are kind of odd, but, even just smiling, it changes everything. So yes, you are spot on. Your intuition is spot on about the whole laughter thing and laughing before you go to sleep. You didn't even take a laughter yoga class and you've already got it.
I didn't, but you know what? Going through, my kids getting older and everything, seemed like it was always something. Every day led to something, and then as I'm getting older, I'm like, I'm not ending my day like this is ridiculous. I've got to start being a happier person. And people will say that, well, like, oh, I'm going to be happier. How can I do that? And I'm thinking, don't spend so much time just thinking about it. Just turn on something funny. And then instantly you forget what happened during the day. I forget. Once I start laughing at Friends, I'm in Friends or whatever show I pick, and I forget what happened that day. And I can go to sleep.
Brilliant. And I don't know if you know this, but our brains are wired for negativity. It's called negativity bias. And it means that when we were cavemen, or cave people, I should say, we had to be fearful, and we had to, run if a tiger was chasing us. So we are wired that way. And we don't need that anymore because there's no tigers chasing us. But because our brains are wired that way, we have to consciously make an effort to counteract that negativity bias with some laughter or some smiling. I don't know what the ratio is. Some people say for every negative thought you have, you need to generate 3 positive ones. But, you've probably read the stuff about gratitude journals and making lists of what you're grateful for. That isn't just, warm, fuzzy stuff. It's based in science. And the more you do it, the more you change what goes on in here so that you don't even have to think about it.
And it's interesting because I'll be doing something mundane like the laundry or something dishes, something like that, right? And I find myself, I'm like, I'm anxious. What am I thinking about? Why am I in a bad, I was just in a good mood. And it can flip like, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm worried about what my son is doing in 5 years. Why am I worrying about what my son like, it's crazy, but our brains go to like, I got to worry about something. Why do we think we have to, so that makes sense because I always wondered, like, why does my brain take me to this place that I didn't even, and all I was doing was a couple of dishes, and all of a sudden I'm worried about, or my daughter's school, I'm worried about that, and I'm like, she's not in school, it's summer. Oh, okay, I won't worry about that. Like, you have to actually talk yourself out of, you have to think, what happened in my mood? What just happened? Oh, I was thinking, is that going to affect my day today? No, that doesn't have any. And then you're like, okay, and you got to consciously get rid of it. That's weird. Right. It's weird.
It's right. And you have to also remember that, everybody has those thoughts. It's not possible to be positive all the time. But to observe them, I'm having a negative thought, that's interesting, is really mindful and helpful for us. And, I always try to remind myself that those thoughts aren't necessarily reality.
Right.
And it takes a lot of practice. I mean, I've dealt with depression and anxiety my whole life, and it's a constant till the day I die. It's a constant effort on my part to deal with that and to counteract that with gratitude and positive thoughts and mindfulness and observation of myself. And thinking about what's really going on. Why am I going down this path right now?
Right, just kind of stop it, because one negative thought can build on another negative, and then before you know it, you're like, or you're mad. Sometimes I walk around, I'm like, I'm mad. What am I mad about? Oh, I don't know. I'm mad. I don't even know what I'm mad about. Like, I don't know. But it is being mindful, and I think it does take a little bit of practice as we get older. It's just realizing that I'm not going to be like that anymore. And you make a decision to say, that's just not who I am, and I'm going to make every day fun. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to find stuff I like to do. That's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to fill my days with everything that I like to do. And even things that, I can say laundry isn't that much fun, but then I'm like, you know what? I want to do the laundry because I want to put the clothes away, and I want to do, there's an end game to this, and I will feel so much better about it. So it's really just how you think about things. You can turn it in a basic chore into being like, you know what? I'm really happy, and I love my washing machine, and I love my dryer, and I love, you can just, it's that simple, right?
It is that simple. And, even, you ever have those days where everything goes wrong? I was having a morning like that this morning. That's why I asked you if we could move this meeting up an hour. But if you have those days, like I do, we all have them, the tendency is to think, oh my gosh, this day just sucks. Oh my gosh.
I'm already an hour behind. I should just go back to bed.
But what I try to do is, I don't know, I was walking with my grocery bag. It was one of those cheap plastic grocery bags this morning, and the bottom fell out because there were too many things in it. And my groceries, my oranges and my apples went spilling all over the parking lot. And, my immediate response is, oh, gosh, here we go. You're like, why? One more thing. Why does this all happen to me? And the idea for me is to just try to flip it, like, isn't that funny? There they go, spilling. Aren't they pretty?
I do that too. I try to flip it. But you know what's awesome that I just want you to know that when you wrote me that, okay, I went to go get coffee this morning, and I also was running. I took a late shower. I got up late, took a late shower. I went to go get coffee, and I was kind of a little stressed because I was like, I got to go back. I got to do makeup. I got to get, And then I get your email, and I was like, I just bought an extra hour. I'm like, yes, sure. So, we think that people have these like expectations, but you made my morning easier also. It wasn't just about your morning easier. I took a deep breath. I drank my coffee. I watched, I caught up on some emails, and it also made my day not start off like, okay, I got to do this thing and I got to be, on, and I got to, to have everything ready. So we aren't ruining other people. It's like that your gift was my gift. Like,
what a great way to look at it.
Yeah. So just so you know, like you gave me a gift of an hour too. So it wasn't just yourself; it was also my gift. So
Oh, I was feeling guilty because I'm usually quite punctual. I was like, I am not going to make it for 10 o'clock. So I'm really glad that worked out.
It really did, because I was just looking at my emails and and I was like, yes, I got another hour. I'll be fine. Like. So.
Oh, that's great.
But I am so happy to have met you, Anne. I mean, like I said, I found Anne through this book, which it is an amazing book for all you people who love reading short stories. I got so much from this. But, then to do the history, to go back and learn about you, and your positivity comes right through. And in your videos, I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I get to know this person, because I can just tell that you radiate that kind of, peacefulness, and you've had to learn a lot. And I'm so happy to have met you.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel really good that you just made my day.
Well, that's good, because you know what? The grocery bag falling apart, not that big a deal.
Yeah, I'm going to forget about it in a year, but I'm not going to forget about this conversation. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. You've made my day also. So you have a great day, and we'll talk soon, especially after your memoir.
Yes, I'll keep you posted on that one.
Yes, please do.
Thank you, Michelle.
Have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.